Hello, everyone. So today, I was just speaking with Sarah about that. I'm really excited about this session, actually. And so, as the title of the slide suggests, this is the biggest leap in Countly, and I will be walking you through it. So today we will talk about three main topics, right? So we will start from the new core of Countly and why we rebuilt it. Secondly, we will get into some of the incredible things in Countly 26.1. And lastly, I want to talk a little bit about our vision forward. So why a new architecture, right? So there are four reasons why we rebuilt the Countly core. So reason number one is the AI era. So we are all seeing the impact of AI in our businesses, and it's clear that for a real business impact of AI, your AI needs to be fed with your business context. This demands faster than human expectation access to such data. So we needed to readdress Countly for that. Two, digital products and their customers, the customer use cases, customer expectations are getting more and more complicated as technology develops. So this requires various business-specific needs, correlation of data, reporting on uniqueness on different fields, the need to group the data using different logic. So this made us question our data foundations, right? So we needed to address this. Reason number three, the adoption of digital products and the impact of AI in these products are and will be causing a massive increase in volumes of data all of our customers are processing, right? So we need a way to virtually have no data limits in Countly. And reason number four, as some of you might know, scaling a Countly deployment beyond a particular point, usually around 1-2 billion data points per month, it's not a fun experience. If you had to go through it, I'm sorry. But the good news is the new redesign, the new architecture, is designed in a way that it can scale up and down in a much predictable and easy way. But before we get into what we actually did in the new Countly, I want to talk about a very important thing here, right? Because you might understand or you might comprehend what I'm saying as we optimize speed in Countly, right? So, okay, Countly is faster, 100 times faster, etc. Sure, it is, but the purpose is not just, to make the dashboard faster, right? The AI era, right? Not just because of the AI models we have access to right now, but rather how companies are built right now, expects experiences to be adaptive. Right. So essentially your software needs to be adaptive. So we built this new Countly as a foundation to that future. Right. So that's what it is, why it is so important for us. So we want you to not only use the data in your quarterly reports, but actually serve customers in real time using that data. Right. To tailor their experiences based on their behavior and to realize that AI needs to be closer to the products, thus the data feeding this AI. So if we talk about or if we get into the actual numbers, right? So let's talk about actual numbers a little bit. So I mean, we are using the 100 times faster messaging across the board, but the reality is it can be up to 8,000 times faster, right? 100 times faster is just an average number, staying on the safe side, right? So we have performed an incredible set of tests on various amounts of data, and we have reached the levels of 8,000 times improvement in query speeds. So it's really fast. Two, flexible scalability, right? So we will get into this when I'm showing you our dashboard. But the new architecture can be optimized for various different needs, right? So if you want it to be optimized for just writes, you can do that. If you want a balanced server where you can handle incoming data and like you have a medium performance on queries, you can do that. But if you want to go all in and have incredible level of performance in your queries, you can also do that fairly easily, right? Compared to old architecture where this required you to change your deployment to include shards, right? Like which is a quite painful operation to do and also to revert. So in this new architecture, we don't have that trouble anymore. And maybe surprising, right? So all of this doesn't actually cost more, right? So the total cost of ownership of Countly will be lower. So here again, we have a safe number, 50% reduction in infrastructure costs. But depending on your current setup, the savings can be up to 80% actually, right? So again, throwing like the real numbers in the webinar, but that's how significant the savings will be or can be based on your setup. But in any case, especially larger scale deployments will have the benefit of a much lower infrastructure cost. And last but not least, for like especially the long time customers know this a lot better. But we have been around for quite a while, right? 10 plus years. So we have had a lot of learnings over the 10 years, as you might imagine. But these kind of drastic changes into the product, we didn't really do anything like this before, right? So we have been using the same database engine, same overall architecture for the past 10 years. And this was our opportunity to actually apply the learnings of the past 10 years into the new architecture, right? So, and one of those benefits is actually like a single source of truth design. So in the current architecture, there are two data sources, as we call them, aggregated and granular data sources. So which inevitably can lead to those two data sources being slightly different from each other. In the new architecture, just like how we overcame many such things, we also suggesting or providing a single source of truth going forward, right? So you can truly depend and trust Countly data. Okay, so the moment of truth, right? So demo gods, please be with me. So this is a real Countly server, right? So nothing here is just fake. So I'm starting from the DB viewer on purpose because I just want to show you the number of records in the database. So we have 1.1 billion records in the data for a particular event. So let's just go to drill and execute the query. So I only have one event, super simple. So normally this operation in the old architecture would take probably 6-7 hours in a super sharded deployment, right? Which costs maybe $100,000 per month actually. And here, as you saw, this query just the result is available under 10 seconds. And bear in mind, please, this query just processed 1 billion rows of data, and there were like 8.3 million unique users that are triggering this data. So like this is really like unbelievable even for me to actually see this kind of speed. So let's take it a step further, right? So if you are an avid user of Drill, you will know that especially breakdown queries are hard, right? Because not only you are querying the data, but you are grouping data by the selected property. So let's just try that on the same data set. So for sure, this will take slightly longer, right? But again, in comparison, in the old architecture, the previous query, if it took like 6 hours, this one would have taken like 7, 8 hours. But here, instead of like 7 seconds, we are waiting maybe like 10 seconds, 15 seconds, right? So, and we have the full data in front of us. So it's important to also note that this is not just a drill thing, right? So like drill is the most obvious place I can show this to you. But this applies across country, right? So like many of the features actually use the drill data, as we have been calling it, the granular data. So everything that touches the data, basically, every single part of country will be faster now, right? And this much faster, actually. And before I switch back to slides, I want to mention one thing. So we set this server up I think last night, and we have been sending, we sent 1 billion data points to it in probably less than 24 hours. Setting that server up, sending all that data, and doing these queries, they were all, super easy to do, right? So like if I was showing you in the old architecture, like something like this, we would need to plan like a week long of like deployment process. Okay, we need 16 servers, like this many components, etc. But here it just, we deployed the server and just went with it. So I think that's also an incredible other part of the new architecture. Okay, so going back to the slides. So the team warned me that this slide was a bit too technical for the webinar, but as you see, I didn't listen. But the reason is I have to talk about this, not like in a technical sense, but to give you a glimpse of how much work was put into rethinking Countly. So I promise I will not go too deep into the technicalities, but I don't want you to think about this new architecture as they exchange one database with the other and suddenly Countly is faster. But rather, we have a lot of new components, as you can see in the new architecture. So starting from the left side, ingester and queue, again, not getting into too many technical parts of them, but the ingester reads the incoming data and puts that data into a queue. So the queue will help us overcome spikes in data. Right? Maybe you have a new marketing campaign, new version, like this happens all the time. So in the current architecture, this is handled by scaling all the servers, all the system up. Versus here, the queue will be the greeter of the data, right? So the queue can be scaled individually to cope up with the spikes of incoming data. But also not only that, but the queue acts as the foundational layer of our single source of truth design, right? Because from the queue, we process the data and put it into our DB engines afterwards. And this queue is Kafka, right? So it also means that you can feed incoming data to your internal data pipelines with ease, since the Kafka ecosystem is quite rich. There are a lot of connectors you can use, and basically we are also giving you a way to connect Countly data quite easily into your internal systems. The second portion, aggregator and our new DB engine. So DB engine 1 is MongoDB. DB engine 2 is ClickHouse. So ClickHouse is the new database engine. So the aggregator is responsible to still create a faster to consume version of data from the queue, and it saves it into MongoDB. While the new DB engine ClickHouse is consuming from the queue directly. So this design allows us to, pretty much use MongoDB a lot less than we have been using, right? So if you have a sharded MongoDB cluster right now, for example, you will not need it anymore, right? So we don't think any of our customers will need any sharded MongoDB clusters anymore because we have minimized the usage of MongoDB. Whereas ClickHouse now kind of powers the query engine of the larger Countly system. And that wasn't the last thing. So we have observability layer in Countly now, right? So especially for self-hosted customers, it's crucial to be able to monitor the system health, be alerted about the health of individual components in the deployment, etc. So we are now shipping that together with Countly, right? So why use another tool or purchase an extra software to monitor Countly? Like it can provide something out of the box for you to do that. So yeah, that was the new architecture in a bit more detail. So something a lot more fun, right? So let's talk about C. C is the name of our new AI agent. So C can guide you about Countly, can answer your questions about features, SDK integration, or can even tell you about what's new in Countly. C can help you build cohorts, funnels, and drill queries, especially very useful when you don't know your own event schema or just simply want to build things in plain English. We designed the experience such that C works side by side to the feature screen, so you can still choose to easily modify what C is building for you. I will show it in a second, so you will understand it better. And last but not least, C can explain real query results to you, even suggesting business insights. So you will also experience this one together. Before I show C to you, I want to talk about how we build C our way. Of course, as you can imagine, we didn't just plug an AI agent into an existing Countly server, but rather we had to think about a lot of different parts of the system. So firstly, C is crafted not to lock you in. The system is designed that way. Right now, we only support certain OpenAI models. Right? So you can make C or you can configure C to use your own OpenAI account or use the Countly AI gateway that connects to OpenAI on your behalf. But we know that it just doesn't make sense for a tool like Countly to just offer support for one model, right? And rest assured, we are already working on introducing support for other models from other providers. And actually, I'm hoping the edge AI, like self-hostable AI domain gets better and better, so we can actually introduce a model that actually runs on the server itself rather than sending the data to a cloud provider. And using like a cloud-based model, of course, we needed to think about we can't actually send sensitive information to the model, right? That's why C is limited. C's access is limited by design, right? So for guidance, it can only use resources we instruct it to do so. So it will not do like a random web search, but it will only use the resources we actually gave it. For building cohorts, funnels, and drill queries, it accesses the metadata, and even that is limited by design. For example, we exclude custom user properties because that data can contain especially sensitive information. For query explanations, C doesn't access the raw data, right? So here it accesses an aggregated version of data, just enough to do its job. And if you choose to, just like everything else in Countly, we made C configurable. So if you want to turn off cohorts and funnel capabilities and just leave drill on, for example, you can do that within the settings of your server. C is already configurable, but as we add more capabilities to it, all of those will be configurable going forward. Okay, enough talk. So let's see in action. Like I had to do that. Sorry, that joke. Yeah. So C. The primary placement of C is here. So as you click that, cute little icon, a panel from the right pops up. So you can choose to see that AI panel in different ways. If you want, you can go full screen, you can show it as a side panel or a pop-up. And when you have C open, I just closed it. As you navigate through the dashboard, C will stay there, right? So we didn't want to completely rethink like the counter dashboard experience, right? Because I think the AI agents have flaws in terms of how you navigate through a product like Countly. For example, if you don't know, you don't know, right? So you still need to navigate to like, okay, drill. Okay, I quickly checked my events. Here's what's available. I'm interested in this, so let me speak with C about it. So we want the dual experience right now, right? So C, like the AI guidance is available, sure, but the normal Countly dashboard is still there, right? So C is just changing the normal or adjusting the normal Countly dashboard for you as you communicate with it. Like let's just click on the first question, what's new in Countly? So as I said, C has access to the entire Countly documentation, so it can answer feature-related questions, SDK integration-related questions, or like anything you have in mind, like what's the breakdown in drill, etc. So you don't even need to go to documentation anymore. Just ask C, right? So tell me more about this part of Countly, etc. And even like it can tell you what's new in Countly. So maybe we didn't need this webinar. C did the job for us. But essentially, we will keep feeding C with more relevant information as it grows. So it can be the guidance for Countly for all the team members within your organization using Countly. So that's the aim. Let's actually try a query. Like this application is a demo application, so it's mimicking like a Spotify kind of media app. So let's ask it, can you show me the content types that are the most So, for example, to complete this task, C needs access to your metadata, right? Because it needs to know the events and the structure of the events. But C is not given access to the raw data, right? So it doesn't actually know anything about the data beyond the metadata. So as you have just seen, C applied the query for me to drill. Right, so I have this playback completed event, so C selected it automatically for me, and then it applied the content type breakdown. So I can quickly look into what types of content are being played the most, right? So, I mean, if I want to, I can adjust this myself or ask C to adjust to query for me. So that's the workflow I was talking about earlier. Another place C is available right now is this little button, right? So currently this is only in Drill, but the plan is to put this summarization into other places. But when you click it, basically C will consume this aggregated data, right? So at this point, C is actually having access to a partial data, right? So a pre-processed data that it needs at minimum to actually answer any questions about the data. So it will give you a summarization like this, right? So like it tells you maybe things that you can easily miss because this graph, for example, I'm sure it's fake data, but it's super straight, so it's hard for a human to actually find correlations or anything that's changing in the data. But for an AI like C, it's rather easy. So it's giving you all like the insights, like, okay, you know, like it's even suggesting maybe you should invest into introducing different content types into the platform, etc. So yeah, C will not only help you build such queries, cohorts, or funnels, but it will also help you summarize the data, right? So, you know, especially useful for new users or mid-level users of Connectly, but also even for like the more experienced data people. There is still value in interacting with C because again it uncovers things maybe not you know super visible immediately by just looking at the graph. Okay, so just to quickly go over it, C, as I mentioned, you know, you can disable certain capabilities of C, and you can, you know, give your own OpenAI API key or provider URL, etc. So it's configurable to this level. Okay, so that was C. We have more stuff actually in 26.1. So we have a new part within SDK Manager. So we are calling it SDK Behavior Settings. So you can actually remotely configure the SDK capabilities. So normally I wasn't going to show it, but probably I will. So hang in there for a second, please. So we have more block types in journeys. So 3 new blocks actually. So you can capture events during journeys. So journeys directly contributing to your data. You can update user properties in journeys, which is super nice. Again, I will show you in a second. And we already had support for in-app notifications. Now you can actually trigger surveys within journeys. So we are slowly you know, completing the full circle of you know, count the capabilities being available within journeys. And last but not least, we are also releasing a Connectly MCP server together with 26.1. So in case you don't know, MCP stands for Model Context Protocol, right? So it's a protocol designed in a way that your AI agents, when they are given access to an MCP server, they can discover like endpoints about a remote service. I think of it as a recipe for AI agents to actually use your Connectly server. So the reason we are releasing this as a separate component and it's not built into Connectly is because like this is a super fast developing concept, right? MCP servers and how AI agents are interacting with MCP servers. So we see this as an experimental functionality, right? So if you want to use it, it's available on GitHub. You can deploy the server, you know, give your Connectly servers access key, and you can start using agents such as Cloud to interact with your Connectly server. But yeah, we believe there is you know, a super bright future in these kind of technology. So we will be, of course, experimenting, improving, and playing with it further. So just quickly to show you what I was talking about. So the SDK manager has been actually around for a while. So like it gives you statistics about the different SDKs your application is triggering data from. So this section also actually existed, but with minimal configurations. Right? So I think we only had these two as far as I remember. But now, as you see, like we have plenty of things that are configurable. So why is this important? Right? Because right now, if you want to let's say you want to enable something in an SDK, right? That means a new application version, right? So you need to release a new version of your app to change the configurations of currently in it. So, you can enable features or disable features from within this section now. You can change individual settings, right? So maybe you want to adjust the event queue size. Maybe you want to adjust like the update interval of the SDK, all here, right? So I see this, why am I like overly excited about maybe such a super technical functionality? I'm sure I'm an engineer, that's number one. Two, this is exactly how we want you to think about your products, right? So that's what we are trying to build with the new company, right? This is the adaptivity we are talking about. So like over the air, you can change the behavior of the software for an individual user, right? So that's what we are working for. And yeah, that's the new SDK behavior settings. And let's jump to journeys quickly. So as I mentioned, new survey block, so you can choose a survey. And these data pipeline blocks are both new, right? So save to profile, like this is really cool. So as you can see, so you can use a block result as source for the profile update, right? Meaning, so you show this survey to a user, to a customer, and the user responds to the survey. And as they respond, you can actually update a custom user property based on the response of the user. Right? So for example, just making it up. You can go here and say, okay, favorite feature. So this will be a property in the user, right? So meaning just like how you trigger custom properties for your user profiles, we are triggering it from a journey, right? Like the user responded to the survey and then we get the result and save it back to the profile, right? So I think there are a lot of cool use cases about this, and expect more such stuff from journeys going forward. And the last new block here is record events. So right now it's not super capable. So you can trigger an event. You can't really do like segmentations for the event, for example. But yeah, that's on the roadmap. We will definitely be introducing ways to improve your data capturing capabilities, even if it's not from the SDK or directly from the application. We believe you can actually capture a lot of user insight just by defining these journeys, showing your customers enough notifications, surveys, or other content types, and then feeding that data back to the system, right? So like it becomes like a full cycle system of customer experience, essentially. Okay, so yeah, like I guess the big question: when are you getting the new version? So the thing is, it's already in progress. So the rollout has started. Of course, the migration requires a procedure where data is moved from the the current data engine to the new one. But rest assured, we have a migration procedure. So we have custom software for this. So we have tested these systems, and we can handle up to like 2 billion data points per day at this point, which means like in most cases, the migration can easily be done in a day. And this is not downtime migration, by the way. Right? So there is no downtime during this migration. It just takes a day, and you continue using the new Countly after the day, essentially. So there won't be any downtime. Given the scale of the updates, we are not just rolling it out automatically for all customers. And we never do, but like this time around, of course, it's more of a case by case. So it depends on your current infrastructure. Maybe we have some cost savings for you that we can suggest. Maybe you have different time to live configurations on your data, etc. So we have to consider all those parameters, and we suggest you the best way towards the new architecture. Right? So that's how we are doing the rollout. But if you didn't hear from your CSM yet, you will soon do, and we will be going into this super new version of Countly together. Okay, so the why of the new architecture, the new version itself, and now it's time to talk about, a little bit about our vision forward. I did a internal version of this presentation, but I think our customers need to hear this too, right? So that's why the rest of the presentation is actually from an internal team meeting that we had a while ago. Firstly, I want to talk about our intelligence layer priorities, right? So because there is a lot of hype going around about AI. Right. So, and as a software company that has been around for more than 10 years, we have been through a lot of hypes. So we know, the natural instincts. We know how these things kind of gain momentum, and suddenly it's more of okay, now we have to rethink realistically how we make use of this new technology, etc. So that's why it's we have these priorities. Right. So first of all, we are not worried about having AI in Countly just for marketing purposes. Right. So that has never been the goal. Right. So I don't want to say, okay, Countly AI now. So TechCrunch, do a press on us just because we have AI, in a different way in Countly. That's not the goal. Right. So we want to use AI in a meaningful way. Sure, it's amazing technology, but it's not really magical as most trying to convey. Given that we are ready for AI, right? So we have done a lot of changes, new architecture, our own agents, different things we are working on, etc. We also want you to be ready for AI, right? So it's a very important priority for us to help our customers, enable them, use AI in a better, more business impactful ways. And that's, how can we help you, right? So because we have a lot of enormous amounts of useful data in Countly, right? So your AI agents needs to consume this data. And we are here to help you, guide you to do that in the best way possible without sacrificing user privacy. Right, so that's priority number one. Again, as I said, ownership of data, right? The control of data. We never see. I told this before, right? So about Countly itself, I can't imagine how you would trust a third party with your analytics data, where you're just handing away this, enormously useful and deep amount of information to a third party company. Right? Actually, this time around, it's worse, right? So AI era, like because I mean, like the thing is scary a little bit, sure, but the amount of information it needs to be really useful is even more scary, I would say. Right? So we need to be really careful how we design the systems in a way that AI has access to just enough information to be really useful. Not like, okay, yeah, here is 1 terabyte of data from my business, just make sense of it. But rather, AI, here is a pre-processed set of data. Let's make this customer's experience a little bit better. How can we do that? I already talked about it. We are not chasing the hypes, right? So for us, it's really important to provide actual value to you, and we will always prioritize value over, being more visible, like or in the news, etc. So for us, value will always be at the core. And last but not least, we are especially interested in solving hard problems with AI. By hard problems, I don't mean AI takes over the world, but rather context, right? Latency. How do you govern AI? How do you safely integrate a model to your existing data? How do you do like how do you introduce intelligence to any product in a more native way so it feels part of the product? So these are real problems. Maybe some of them are boring problems, but we see these as the real problems that need solving. Right? So, and we will not be afraid to work on them. Right? So we will be, basically on all over those problems. And that's like basically like currently the new version 26.1 is exactly built for those priorities. Right? So a new architecture. We are giving you like the foundations of an adaptive system, a data architecture that delivers context in real time, an intelligence layer that can help you reason about the data, and journeys that can actually take action. This is the shift, right? So analytics stop being about something you check and become something in your product that your product can actually use immediately. And for that, and I think it's even more important where this is going, right? So the intelligence layer won't just describe or help, it will guide. Journeys won't just execute flows, they will make decisions. And with things like memory and context APIs, AI agents will finally have the private real-time understanding they need to act responsibly inside your product. These are all things we want to tackle next. I'm not saying 5 years later, right? So these are next priorities for us to work on. Before I close, I want to zoom out and show you the bigger pattern that's happening across every industry. In traditional companies, the core business operates mostly on hindsight. Right? So tech, data, any sort of intelligence sit around the edges. They support the business, but they don't drive it. In 2010s, we kind of experienced digital native companies for the first time, and they flipped this completely. So they brought tech and data into the core and gained a huge advantage because suddenly everything became measurable and optimizable. Right? That shift disrupted entire markets. But the shift is happening now again. Right? So in the 2020s, we are seeing the rise of intelligence native companies where intelligence is not just a layer sitting above the core, but something woven inside the core of a business. And once intelligence moves into the core of a business, something new becomes possible, right? So the product becomes adaptive. It senses what's happening. And all the experiences your customers face become adaptive. So that's the direction, right? So adaptive experiences will define the next generation of products and the next generation of winners. So any company, and not just tech giants, can make this leap as long as they have the right foundation. And we believe we are building that foundation in Countly together with our customers. So yeah, thank you very much. I can now address any questions from the audience.
Yeah, we've got a few minutes left. So there's a few questions that came through. One of them is C useful for technical users or is it mainly for beginners?
I think C is useful for everyone, right? So from different angles, maybe. For beginners, C is useful throughout, right? So you can just start your Countly experience by asking C, okay, where do I start? What should I look at? What is the funnel? What is the cohort in Countly, etc. So it becomes your onboarding assistant in a way to actually working with data, right? Because as I have shown in the example, like in some implementations, there might be a lot of events, right? So it's really hard to navigate through the list of events. You don't know what event represents what, but C has a better understanding, right? So you can literally tell C, like, okay, I want to see the most played content types. Right? I didn't even give it the name of the event, right? So it just made the association and put that event into drill for you, right? So I think this is also incredible for kind of beginner or like first time users where like they just can adapt to a platform like Countly in a much easier way. But that being said, it's still useful for the more technical or power user too, right? Because they also have questions about Countly, right? So they can ask C more complicated questions about, maybe more complicated topics like formulas, let's say. Or like C can actually suggest you like, okay, you can use formulas for what you're looking for, right? So I think there is always room for learning, even for the power users of Countly, because Countly is a vast platform, right? So I don't think anyone, including me, fully knows everything possible inside out, right? So that's why C, especially from a guidance point of view, is helpful for everyone. From data interpretation or help with building things, I think maybe slightly more helpful for like the beginner mid-tier user than the power user, but especially the inside parts, as I mentioned. Yeah, like even the power user might miss the reading of the data, right? So usually what happens is the power user exports the table from Countly, imports it in their own statistical analysis tool, goes through that flow, etc. But in a way, we have that kind of a helper in Countly right now, right? So it can do that analysis for you. But yeah, I think as we kind of build on top of C, I think it will be equally powerful for both sides of the picture.
Awesome. I think this next one kind of goes along with what you were talking about. Will C eventually analyze my data directly or automate my workflows?
Mm-hmm. Analyze the data part, right? So the critical part in that, I'm really looking forward to Edge AI and being able to run models inside Countly to be, completely open about the subject, because that way, we don't have to worry about sending data to a cloud AI provider. So we can do everything within the Countly server. So when that future arrives, that will be the case, right? So the AI agent will be able to work with the entire data set because it's in an enclosed environment, right? But until that, we will just give you options to use different models from different providers, and we will on purpose kind of limit what the model provider gets access to, right? So that will be the case. We will give you more tools, right? So we will give you filter words maybe, so your users of the dashboard won't be able to talk about anything with the agent, or maybe when they enter a specific super private information, we will automatically block sharing such information with the agent, etc. But yeah, it's inevitable. Yeah, these agents will have access to more and more data. However, I think the trajectory of improvements suggests to me that you will be, quite soon able to have like more self-hosted things running together with County. So we don't need to worry about a future where we are sending everything to an AI model. I mean, I don't think that's a future really. That can't be a future. So that's why I think we have bright days ahead in that subject. Workflows, right? So that was the second part of the question. For sure, right? So I think that's rather straightforward, actually, building, journeys with C, creating data plans with C, right? So planning something in the data manager, etc. So I think you will see more and more of such capabilities in Countly, right? So right now it's cohorts, funnels, and drill. In the future, it will be like dashboards, journeys, like all those things C will be able to help you build. Yeah.
Awesome. One last question, and if you have asked a question and we're not going to get to it, your CSM will reach out. But this last question, how are we preventing AI from accessing more data than it should?
Mm-hmm. So there we actually have a very controlled model already, right? Controlled model as in, again, we didn't just slap like a OpenAI agent to Countly, but rather there was a lot of groundwork done until this point where we worked on, what is the pipeline of pre-processing information inside Countly. So only at the last point we share the data with the AI provider, right? So currently it's completely controlled, right? So the most we share is in the real summarize functionality, where in order for AI to answer anything about your data, it needs to see something, right? So we just share like the aggregated results with the agent. But yeah, other than real summarize capability, the other agents only have metadata, right? So your event names, properties, and that's it, right? So AI never will have access to the database or your granular data unless we can host or self-host the model ourselves, until that point, basically. Yeah.
Perfect. Like I mentioned, if there's a question that we didn't get to that you've asked in the chat, your CSM will reach out and make sure that that's answered for you. There will be a recording available on our YouTube page. If you've registered, you will also get that recording directly to your email. And I think that's it for me. And Noor, any final thoughts?
Yeah, thank you very much, everyone, for joining. So we are really, I hope I could pass the energy to you. Like I'm very, very excited about this new Countly. Not only like about this new Countly, but all the other things that can be done on top of this new Countly, right? So looking forward for all of you to experience this for yourselves. So yeah, thanks again for joining.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll talk soon.